Hello, I'm Daniel Montgomery. I'm here with Chris Beachum and Marcus Dixon to announce the winners of the 2016 Gold Derby TV Awards. These are the 13th annual, I believe, and they were voted on by our forum posters, by our users who sent us ballots, and we counted them by hand this year. We haven't gotten the automated system back, but hopefully for the next Gold Derby Awards, the Film Awards coming up later this year. So we did these the old-fashioned way, and now we are here to deliver the results. Without further ado, we're going to get started with Chris Beachum. He has the first two categories.
I do, and let me say, anytime I see somebody out, like a Sarah Paulson recently, or a Tony Hale, or Titus Burgess, Sterling K. Brown, whoever it is, I'll say, hey, did you know you're a Gold Derby Award nominee? Because to me, and I tell them this, these are voted on by really just passionate television viewers, people that love television, probably watch more than even the Emmy voters do. So to get a nomination and then ultimately a win with us is just, I think, a real honor. So let's start it off. I've got the two variety categories. And again, these nominees and winners are determined by you, not us. We just did all the counting. Variety performer, the 6 nominees are Samantha Bee from Full Frontal, James Corden from The Late Late Show, Larry David from Saturday Night Live, Kate McKinnon from Saturday Night Live, John Oliver from Last Week Tonight, and Amy Schumer from Inside Amy Schumer. And the winner, as voted by you this year, is Samantha Bee.
And
Take that, Emmys.
And that continues a long history. That has been a run of women going back since almost the beginning. The only man that has ever won variety performance was Dave Chappelle for Chappelle's Show. That was the very first award given out in 2004.
Wow.
And I say this every time that we do these or nominations, but this is where we feel like the Emmys is one of the biggest ways they need to improve, and that's go back to having a variety performer category. We take those people out of the other categories, the comedy categories, and give them their own, and I think the Emmys should do that, and really they should do two. They should do, not like we do here, but they should have one for like regular series performers, which Samantha Bee would fall in, and then one for like one time only, like an SNL guest host, or the host of the Oscars, or the host of the Golden Globes, or somebody performing on a big variety special or something. I think that would be much better than trying to combine them into comedy categories. But let's move on to variety series. 6 nominees are Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, Inside Amy Schumer, Key and Peele, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, The Late Late Show with James Corden, and Saturday Night Live. And we don't separate by talk show and sketch show. We combine them all together here. And the winner from HBO is Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
That will be your Emmy winner too, I think.
Probably. And the irony here is that where women have dominated variety performer, shows hosted by men have pretty much dominated variety series. Last 2 years it went to The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and Jon Stewart's won, Colbert Report's won, Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien has won. The only other show unlike that has won was Saturday Night Live, which of course is an ensemble of men and women, a sketch show. But yeah, no female-led show has actually won variety series. They all win variety performance.
Well, just to give you some context over the course of the next few minutes, variety performer, it was kind of a close race. Right behind Samantha Bee was a tie between Kate McKinnon and John Oliver. Variety series, though, was pretty much a cakewalk. John Oliver won that really big.
Wow. Okay, so now we're going to move on to reality. This is the best reality program, and this combines the variety the variety structured, unstructured, reality, structured, unstructured, the competition, all those reality things are combined together into one. So the nominees are The Amazing Race, American Idol, RuPaul's Drag Race, Shark Tank, Survivor, and The Voice. And the Gold Derby TV Award goes to something that's really never been nominated at the Emmys until this year. It got in a host nomination. It's RuPaul's Drag Race.
Wow.
And going back, I mean, knowing Gold Derby, I had thought this would have won at least once before, but it actually hasn't. 3 of the last 4 years, this actually went to The Voice. So yeah, this is the first victory at the Gold Derby Awards for RuPaul's Drag Race. Although I believe we've nominated it for reality program before.
And then we have one category for animation. This is Best Animated Series. The nominees are Archer, Bob's Burgers, BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, and South Park. And the Gold Derby TV Award goes to BoJack Horseman.
And that's another first-time winner. Last year it went to The Simpsons. Archer's won it a couple of times. South Park has won it. South Park actually won the Decade Award. They haven't actually won any individual yearly awards, ironically. But yeah, so another first-time winner on Netflix, BoJack Horseman.
In second place, just behind it, just barely behind it, was Archer. And on the reality, just behind RuPaul, was Survivor.
Oh, a few more votes. My passion vote.
Well,
your vote only counted as one, though.
I know.
I can't remember if I even voted for the winner in that category, because honestly, for reality, because my pet nominee would have been Mythbusters, but it didn't even get the nomination. So, well. Hopefully, it will win the Emmy finally. Okay, next up, I will be announcing, moving into the long-form categories, the movie miniseries categories, I will be announcing the supporting categories, starting with Best Movie Miniseries Supporting Actress. The nominees are Olivia Colman in The Night Manager, Catherine Keener in Show Me a Hero, Regina King in American Crime, Kristen Milioti for Fargo, Sarah Paulson, American Horror Story Hotel, and Jean Smart in Fargo. And the award goes to Jean Smart in Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly going to get another award in about 10 days.
Yeah. And Chris, you and I saw Regina King, and she knew about her nomination for The Leftovers, which is coming up, but she didn't know about this one, and so she was very, very, happy to learn that she was, nominated more than once.
Yeah, we told her. She said, I should have scrolled down that list more. I said, I know, because you're up for Ensemble of the Year and also a Performer of the Year. And she just really smiled over those.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually Jean Smart's second win with us. She won Best Drama Supporting Actress in 2006 for 24. Now, Best Movie Miniseries Supporting Actor, the nominees are Sterling K. Brown, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, Connor Jessup, American Crime, not to show favoritism, Dennis O'Hare, American Horror Story Hotel, Jesse Plemons, Fargo, Joey Polari, American Crime, and Bokeem Woodbine for Fargo. And the Gold Derby Award goes to Sterling K. Brown, which perfectly fantastic winner. That probably would have been my second choice had I not voted for Connor Jessup.
Well, Connor, it wasn't all that close, but he was in second place. But it wasn't a big victory by Sterling in terms of numbers. But Jean Smart, boy, she just smarted everybody else. She outsmarted everybody else. She won one of the biggest landslides of the year. So honestly,
really?
if you're thinking at the Emmy, because we got the same system here, just one vote, top choice,
no rankings.
If you're thinking about anybody other than Jean Smart next week, I don't think you're on the right track.
And it's funny, she actually, of the ballots that I counted, we split up the ballots, of the ones that I counted, she had the single highest point total of any nominee in any category when I added them all together. That did not surprise me at all when I found out that it went her way in the end.
Regarding Sterling K. Brown, at the Emmys he's up against 2 co-stars, so there could be a vote-splitting factor that goes on, whereas he won with us because he's the only person from People versus O.J. So that's something.
It wasn't even a landslide with us. Not a landslide with us, even with no internal competition. So, yeah, that's not one where I would bet the farm. I don't I think he's going to win next week, but we've got to go back and do a search through our stories, because we've had a couple of other stories about, especially a John Travolta, former Oscar nominee, or a Hugh Laurie, tons of Emmy nominations with no wins. You know, they might be in contention there. But to finish out the movie categories, we've got movie mini actress Kirsten Dunst, Fargo; Felicity Huffman, American Crime. You're going to really recognize this whole six. Audra McDonald from Lady Day; Sarah Paulson from The People vs. O.J. Simpson; Lily Taylor from American Crime; and Kerry Washington for Confirmations. Exact same six as the Emmys. And our winner, in another, not a landslide, she won by a comfortable margin, is Sarah Paulson from The People vs. O.J. Simpson. Look out, people, for Kirsten Dunst at the Emmys. She had a lot of support here.
Yeah, all three of us, we split up the ballots into thirds, and I think when I calculated my third of the votes, I think Sarah was even with Dunst, so I wasn't sure how it would play out.
Yeah, and Paulson was maybe 3 or 4 points, or votes ahead on my ballots. It was much closer than I thought that was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And Best Movie Mini Actor, we've got Bryan Cranston for All the Way, Idris Elba for Luther, Tom Hiddleston, The Night Manager, Oscar Isaac, Show Me a Hero, Courtney D Vance for The People vs. O.J. Simpson, and Patrick Wilson for Fargo. And this was another very, very big victory. Courtney D Vance for The People vs. O.J. Simpson. But Bryan Cranston was not the person in second place.
Oh.
In fact, Bryan was in like 4th place. It was Oscar Isaac that got the most support following Courtney, who's not even up at the Emmys. So I don't know how that's going to, I really think it's a tight race at the Emmys. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out.
I wonder if Cuba Gooding, who was a nominee at the Emmys, will steal any votes from Courtney and maybe cause some kind of a vote split situation there.
It could be, but I don't know the person that watched that and would mark Cuba 1 over Courtney. But we'd had some people
the Oscar
in our nomination round that were picking Cuba. So yeah, that Oscar win, you never know how that's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of tight, we've got the movie miniseries race. We combine all movies and miniseries together, and we've got All the Way, we've got American Crime, we've got Fargo, People vs. O.J. Simpson, Roots, and Show Me a Hero. And in a dead even tie, first tie we've had in a while, I believe, Fargo and The People vs. O.J. Simpson both share this award.
Wow. Congrats, FX.
Really? If FX wasn't in the miniseries business, we would not have much to go on there.
Yeah, because those two shows won every miniseries. OJ won actor, actress, and supporting actor. Fargo won supporting actress.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there'll be some exclamation points in our forums over this one, but it is a tie between the two FX miniseries.
Just going back a moment to Sarah Paulson. This is actually her third Gold Derby Award, individual award. She won twice for American Horror Story in the supporting category for Asylum, and then last year for Freak Show. So it's no secret that Gold Derby is a fan of Sarah Paulson.
And vice versa. Everywhere we see her, she loves Gold Derby. We'll see her probably at least 2 or 3 times over the next 10 days, and she'll probably see this on Twitter when we post it later tonight, but we'll definitely, it'll come up in our conversation when we see her as well.
Right. Okay, so now we're going to do the guest actor and guest actress for a drama series. So we're going to start with a drama guest actress, and the nominees are Ellen Burstyn for House of Cards, Famke Janssen, Daniel? Famke? Okay. How to Get Away with Murder. Patti LuPone, Penny Dreadful. Natasha Lyonne, Orange is the New Black. Annette Mahandru, The Americans. And Laurie Metcalf for Horace and Pete. And the Gold Derby TV Award goes to Ellen Burstyn, House of Cards. How do you guys feel about this? I love this choice, but it may be controversial. Because she just seems to win everything that she's up for.
I don't know that she's won much with us.
I just scanned over my list. I believe this is her first Gold Derby award.
Oh, okay.
And looking at the numbers, it looks like it's going to play out the same way to me this weekend. Of course, we don't see the numbers from the Emmys, but Ellen Burstyn and Laurie Metcalf with us are very, very tight. And you've got two multiple Emmy winners. Ellen's a former Oscar winner, Tony winner. So I don't know how this is going to absolutely play out on Saturday, but this win right here makes me feel like we've got a similar voting system that Ellen might go ahead and win the Emmy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I noticed about this voting system, and there are a couple other observations that I made when counting the votes in other categories that we'll get to later, is Laurie Metcalf is that kind of standout performer where if you're doing a ranking system and you're not watching the episodes, but you've never seen Laurie Metcalf, you might rank her last because you haven't seen her, which would hurt her overall score. But if enough people have seen her, and believe me, I've heard from a lot of not necessarily voters, but just people who are passionate about that particular performance, enough people just need to say her. I mean, they don't have to rank other people. It just needs to be her, and she just needs 1/6 of the vote plus one if it's a tight race, and she's your Emmy winner. So you could see a standout performer win without necessarily everyone having even seen the performance, because Horace and Pete was a little under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's got 3 shots at the Emmys over the next 2 weeks to win something. She's nominated 3 times there.
And this is probably her best shot.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Best Drama Guest Actor. And there's a lot of differences between our list and the Emmys list. So let's go through ours. Richard Armitage for Hannibal. Reg E. Cathy for House of Cards. John Carroll Lynch for The Walking Dead. Ian McShane, Game of Thrones. Max von Sydow for Game of Thrones. And B.D. Wong for Mr. Robot. I believe that's 3 of our nominees are Emmy nominees. But our winner is actually not an Emmy nominee, though he should be. It's B.D. Wong for Mr. Robot.
Mm.
It's actually just 2, von Sydow and Cathy, I believe.
Okay.
And that vote was really tight between him and not who you might think. I told you, Marcus, earlier today, I don't think Max is winning the Emmy, and partly I'm thinking that because of these vote totals here.
Is it Reggie?
Our people love Game of Thrones over the last couple of years. But anyway, no, it's Richard Armitage. So Max is in 4th.
So
no, Max is in 5th place.
Between Reggie, Cathy, and Max, those are the 2 Emmy nominees. Who did better with us?
Reggie, Cathy.
Oh, okay, I'm going to switch at the Emmys then.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, first of all, yay for Richard Armitage, that very strong 2nd place. I think it's the same as the Laurie Metcalf principle. It's a performance that not everyone saw, but I think most people who saw it voted for it, and I'm one of them. But don't be so quick to switch to Reggie Cathy, because unlike at the Emmys, we had 2 Game of Thrones nominees to potentially split the vote. And Reggie Cathy at the Emmys has 2 other House of Cards nominees.
Oh, you're right.
So.
But I don't believe in vote splitting, so it doesn't matter to me. In fact, if you look at the numbers, and I don't like Riley's article from a couple of weeks ago. I don't think he did an appropriate job on some of the ones further back, but we can talk about that later. If you have 3 or more from one show, you typically have one of those winning.
But that's the old system. Now,
this year's
that's
different.
ranking, I know, but it also shows a lot of support from the acting branch for that show.
Well, I think we will return to that subject later.
Okay.
I think after the Emmys, we're all going to be like, how did blah, blah, blah lose? Oh, yeah, because they were up against a co-star. We should have seen that coming.
And how did blah, blah, blah win? Oh, yeah, they won last year. We should always remember that.
Yeah. So, but congrats, B.D. Wong. We didn't really talk about you, but you won.
Okay, Okay, so next up are the supporting categories for drama, starting with Best Drama Supporting Actress. The nominees are Christine Baranski for The Good Wife, Lena Headey for Game of Thrones, Regina King for The Leftovers, Maura Tierney for The Affair, Allison Wright for The Americans, and Constance Zimmer for Unreal. And the Gold Derby TV Award goes to, not really a surprise to me here, Lena Headey for Game of Thrones.
Nice.
And when I say this, Marcus may leave us or fall on the floor, but Constance Zimmer was just a couple of votes behind.
Oh my goodness.
Should we tell her that when we see her next week?
Yeah. Was it like a comfortable second place?
Oh, yeah. razor thin.
And it's actually Headey's second win in a row. She won this category last year.
Oh,
we won't have a second winner in a row in the next category, will we?
No, we won't. Last year's winner, of course, Peter Dinklage, is not present. Instead, we have the nominees for Best Drama Supporting Actor, Alan Alda for Horace and Pete, Alan Cumming for The Good Wife, Christopher Eccleston for The Leftovers, Kit Harington for Game of Thrones, Michael McKean for Better Call Saul, and Christian Slater for Mr. Robot. And the winner is, just swap in one Game of Thrones actor for another, it goes to Kit Harington for Game of Thrones.
He had the breakout year.
He did. I think he's going to win the Emmy, but I don't know. That somebody that young and that kind of a role, they typically doesn't go to that drama supporting actor type person.
Actually, now that I think of it, that would have been true until you consider three-time Emmy winner Aaron Paul.
He's not a good guy, and he's not Mr. Handsome like Kit Harington.
Yeah, he doesn't have the or at least the role doesn't have the kind of he didn't necessarily have the slap the stud problem because he was playing kind of a grungy meth addict. So.
Right. This was one of my favorite categories looking at the numbers because you got Kit, and then you got two people tied like just behind him. I mean, like both Michael McKean and Christian Slater are just a couple of votes behind him, tied. So you had a ton of support for those three, and then it fell off for the other three. Well, I think that brings me up. Let me get my list in front of me. We've got the two drama lead categories. We'll start with drama actress, and the nominees are Carrie Coon from The Leftovers, Viola Davis, How to Get Away with Murder, Vera Farmiga, Bates Motel, Eva Green, Penny Dreadful, Kerry Russell, The Americans, and Robin Wright for House of Cards, and Robin Wright is our winner.
Our list is so much better than the Emmys list.
Yeah, that's the first win for Robin Wright. The two-time defending champ of this category was actually Tatiana Maslany, but she was not nominated this year, nor was Claire Danes, who won it the 2 years before that.
Oh, wow. So Robin got rid of all of her other competition, just like she did on the actual show, and then just finally she could prevail. Let me look at the numbers here before I move on. Let's see. Oh, this was the single weirdest category of the whole evening because you had Robin, and I mean just behind her you had four ladies just barely. I mean, it was like the biggest. Every time I would put another vote down, I did not know how this thing was going to turn out until I got to the very end because you had basically everybody but Eva Green immediately behind Robin Wright.
Wow.
So
I realize this is not the Emmy discussion, slugfest, but Robin Wright versus Viola. What do you guys think is going to happen at the Emmys? I think Viola's going to win.
I've got Viola winning, but I'm not very comfortable.
I've been predicting Viola. I'm tempted to move away to Robin Wright, but it's so hard to tell. Like How to Get Away with Murder doesn't have a lot of support, but that didn't really hurt Allison Janney, who's won 2 Emmys in a row for Mom, and Viola's about to have a major Oscar contender coming up that's already getting buzz, and it's really hard to know, especially under this new system, how this category in particular will go.
Hmm.
It's not a show that they really watch, so it's strictly relying on her voters watching that episode, which was a great one, or just they like her. Hey, I'm going to mark her number one.
Right.
So we don't. This new system, we just don't know for certain, until we see. And it may take like 3 years to unravel and figure out once we see patterns. But drama actor, let's finish up my section here. We've got Freddie Highmore from Bates Motel, Robbie Malik, Mr. Robot, Bob Odenkirk, Better Call Saul, Matthew Rhys, The Americans, Kevin Spacey, House of Cards, and Justin Theroux, The Leftovers. And our winner, not a big shocker, but this was a tough category, Rami Malek for Mr. Robot. Not a blowout, but nobody. You had 3 guys that were comfortably behind him. Sort of like some categories we feel like at the Emmys sometimes, where you go, if they don't choose this front runner, the other people seem like they would all kind of be in a logjam, and that's kind of what happened here.
Looks like there's 2 House of Cards winners here. We have 2 Game of Thrones winners, 2 Mr. Robot winners. What will win best? Oh, we have best episode, right? And then best drama.
Mm-hmm. That's you.
That's me. Okay, best drama episode. So this is kind of where we congratulate the writer and the director. We don't have specific writer or director categories. But the 6 nominees are The Americans, The Magic of David Copperfield, Better Call Saul, Nailed, Game of Thrones, Battle of the Bastards, Game of Thrones, The Winds of Winter, The Leftovers, International Assassin, and Mr. Robot, Hello Friend, the pilot. And the Gold Derby TV Award goes to, it's a little shocking to me, The Leftovers, International Assassin.
Now here is where I want to talk about potential vote splitting, because when I was counting my ballots, if you added Game of Thrones, Battle of the Bastards, and Winds of Winter on my ballots, at least, I don't know how it shaped up the totals. Chris, you can let us know in a second. They were neck and neck. Each episode was neck and neck with International Assassin, but the fact that those 2 episodes, which seem to have reasonably kind of even support, they were both in there. I think that was the key to Leftovers winning that, and that's plurality vote splitting, potentially what we can see at the Emmys.
This is what I told Chris earlier, because on my ballot it was the same thing. Those 2 Game of Thrones episodes, if you combine them, Game of Thrones would have won this category. But there were 2 episodes, so people were evenly split on which one they liked, so that really hurt it.
But would the voters of one of those, if only one had been available, would they have automatically gone to the other one?
I think that in this case, yes. I think
those 2 episodes were the highlights of the season.
Not in every case of multiple nominees, but this was a case where I strongly believe that most of the people who voted for one Game of Thrones episode would have voted for the other if that was an option.
I think it happens occasionally, but we were talking about like at the Oscars, when you've got 2 people in an acting category, generally by the time you get to the Oscar voting, if one of them is going to win, one of them has really dominated the awards circuit, so it becomes not really a choice anymore. But here I could see that happening, and we've got several opportunities this year, especially in directing and writing across, I'm thinking of the movie mini categories most likely, but even like in, is it drama directing for Game of Thrones, you've got 2. It can happen if people just aren't certain. They can only mark 1, because I guess under a ranking system, you might mark one of them 1 and one of them 2 if that's your favorite show.
And it's interesting. Another interesting about this category is that it's the first ever win for The Leftovers, of course. But it's the writer of that episode is Damon Lindelof. It's his 6th win for Best Drama Episode, because
he loves Gold Derby too. We saw him at a party earlier this summer, and he loves Gold Derby.
Yeah, he won it 5 times for Lost. He won for the pilot, he won for Through the Looking-Glass, The Constant, The Incident, and The End. So this is Damon Lindelof. He's just got the market cornered. If Game of Thrones wants to win again, they might want to hire Damon Lindelof to write an episode for season 7.
So the big one, Best Drama Series. The nominees are The Americans, Bates Motel, Better Call Saul, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, The Leftovers, and Mr. Robot. And the Gold Derby TV Award is Game of Thrones.
But not a runaway. It was very tight. In fact, this was another one where every time I would get a few more ballots in, I was wondering, okay, what's going to happen? It was like reading a really good book. It was like, what's going to happen next? Because Game of Thrones just barely beat The Leftovers.
Oh.
And one vote behind The Leftovers was The Americans. And then everything else was pretty poor in terms of voting. So it was tight.
That was the same pattern that emerged on my ballots. It was really, it was really a three-horse race between those three shows, and it was really Game of Thrones and The Leftovers. And what was interesting about it, when I got my ballots and started counting them, it's like I would get like a cluster for Game of Thrones, and it would start to pull ahead, and then I would just get like 4 or 5 in a row that were Leftovers. Like, oh my goodness, it couldn't actually do it. So it was really, really, really close. I was really happy about how close it was.
There were so many times over, and we were counting votes for a month, and I would do it like once a week. So I'd have a stack of them, and there were so many times just to myself sitting in the recliner, adding, I would just go, wow. So it's so much fun when we've got some competitive races, when we really have.
Mm-hmm. Is this the second win for Game of Thrones, Daniel?
The second win for Game of Thrones, which continues a pattern. This category has been won consecutively almost since the beginning. It was Sopranos won in 2004 as its only win. Then Lost won in 2005, 7 and 8. 24 interrupted that. But then it was 3 years in a row Mad Men, 3 years in a row Breaking Bad. Game of Thrones can't win again next year because it won't be airing any new episodes during the next eligibility period. But for all we know from the pattern, it could just pick up its third in a row in 2018.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how sometimes we have the same patterns too as Emmy voters.
Okay, so we are moving on to the comedy categories, starting with the guest categories. And starting with Best Comedy Guest Actress. The nominees are the entire cast of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Anna Camp, Tina Fey, Lisa Kudrow, and Amy Sedaris for Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Then there's Claire Danes for Master of None, and Angelica Houston for Transparent. And
the only category where none of them are nominated at the Emmys.
And the winner is, most surprisingly not nominated at the Emmys for me, is Tina Fey for Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
She deserved that.
She absolutely did.
That's her best performance ever, I thought. I can't believe she's not nominated at the Emmys. And she just barely beat Anna Camp.
And when I was voting, I was very torn between the two of them. I'm actually going back in my list to count all of her previous performance wins, because if you count the wins for shows, it might be higher, but just her performance wins, she's won 3 times for variety performance. She won 3 times for Performer of the Year. Actually, one of those is Performance of the last decade. She won 3 times for Best Comedy Actress, so this is her 10th individual performance win at the Gold Derby Awards.
Wow. And I'm sure she's aware of all of those.
Yeah, we'll have to tell her at the Creative Arts, oh wait, she doesn't show up.
She's not going to be there for the Creative Arts. But if she wins, she might be, should be invited to present it the following week. So we might see her. Well, she's up for producer the following week too. So we might see her. She's aware of Gold Derby. I don't know if like is the right word, but maybe she does. And
next up, we have Best Comedy Guest Actor. The nominees are Christopher Abbott for Girls, Shoot Kath Ansari for Master of None, Judd Hirsch for The Big Bang Theory, Martin Mull for Veep, Bob Newhart for The Big Bang Theory, and Corey Stoll for Girls. And the Gold Derby TV Award goes to one of the Emmy nominees, Martin Mull for Veep.
I've got to tell you what I told Marcus earlier today when we were driving over to the Emmy meeting. This was such a big victory. I mean, not even remotely close. And I know Larry David's not in this category, but it's made me switch to Martin Mull at the Emmys. I think he ticks too many boxes.
I'm sticking with Larry David. He just went so viral that even if you've never seen Saturday Night Live, you know that he played Bernie Sanders, and you know how good that was.
I'm predicting Larry David at the Emmys, but I've got Martin Mull so close in second place, and I've had him there I think since the nominations were announced, because he does tick a lot of boxes. He's this long-working character actor. His first Emmy nomination, which when I found that out, I just assumed he'd been nominated for like 2 or 3 or 4 other awards at some point during his career, and he never had, and so. But then again, we have to keep reminding them that Bob Newhart had never won an Emmy, so maybe the Emmy voters don't actually know that or weren't actually paying attention to that. So we'll see.
I've got it really tight, but it just made me feel like, one of the best things that ever happened to him was when his own competitor from his own show, Peter McNichol, got knocked out. If you want to vote for a Veep person here, you've only got one choice now.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since an SNL person won.
It has. I don't want to make any last-minute changes, but I also don't want to kick myself on Saturday.
I may switch back. Maybe I'm putting too much stock in our own awards, but we're a similar voting system, and it just the size of the victory and looking at a lot of the other ones that were close, it just made me feel like, because you had some real fan favorites here that I thought would get more support.
And especially when you consider the sweep factor, because last year with the more popular vote, even though it was a ranking system, and this one's going to be a little different, we saw sweeps all over the place. Game of Thrones ran over everything. Veep ran over most everything, not quite everything. Olive Kitteridge. So if they like you, they love you. They just every branch is just throwing awards at you. So if that happens, and given how many nominations Veep has, this is the only place to go for Veep in this category, and it could very well be in a sweep momentum.
Okay, comedy supporting actor and actress categories, starting with actress. Mayim Bialik, The Big Bang Theory. Anna Klumsky for Veep. Allison Janney for Mom. Jane Krakowski, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Amy Landecker, Transparent. And Judith Light, Transparent. And our voters go in a big way for one of the non-nominees this year, surprisingly so, Jane Krakowski from Kimmy Schmidt. This wasn't close. No, I can't even justify mentioning any other names because it wasn't close at all.
And this surprises me. Actually, just now looking at this on my list of past winners in this category, I was about to say this is Jane Krakowski's second or third award because I assumed we'd given her at least one for 30 Rock. We never did. This is her first Gold Derby award.
I have noticed over the years, not every category obviously, but sometimes our voters just try to make amends for what the Emmys do, and I think this one felt that way to me.
Right.
Like Sorry Jane, if she got nominated at the Emmys, I don't know that the underlying support would have been as heavy. It was just like, okay, this is wrong.
It was very wrong. I mean, last year the Emmys had 8 nominations in this category, and now I'm wondering if Jane Krakowski was number 7 or number 8 because she didn't get in this year, which is just so wrong, so wrong.
And comedy supporting actor, we've got Louis Anderson for Baskets, Titus Burgess, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Ty Burrell, Modern Family, Jay Duplass for Transparent, Tony Hale for Veep, and Timothy Simons for Veep. And our winner, I believe, a second year in a row, is Titus Burgess for Kimmy Schmidt.
Yep, that is 2 years in a row. He is the first consecutive winner since actually Ty Burrell won in 2010 and 2011.
Okay, it was a big number victory, but not big away from second place. It was like everybody voted for the first place, or Timothy Simons, believe it or not, in second place, and then hardly anybody else had any support.
Interesting. Can he win the Emmy?
Simons can't.
No, Titus.
I've been going back and forth on mine. I've gone back to Tony Hale again. I'm kind of getting in a mode of moving all of last year's winners back in almost every case.
Yeah.
But Tony's never had competition from his own show in the category, so I'm wondering about that.
And this year being the one time having multiple nominees in a category might be a deficit instead of a benefit with the plurality vote. It's unfortunate timing. Although, I mean, he has won twice, so if he doesn't win a third.
I think Titus could win. I think it's really tight, and I don't think it's a two-way race. I think Louis Anderson's in it as well.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Tony, Titus, or Louis, honestly.
I voted for Louis. If you're watching, Louis, I voted for you, buddy.
And we'll hopefully see him next week as well. That would be, he just loved talking to you and Rob and was so appreciative of all of the good things that both of you had written.
All right, so let's do comedy actor and actress, starting with Best Comedy Actress. We have Rachel Bloom, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Aya Cash, You're the Worst. Ellie Kemper, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Julia Louis-Dreyfus for Veep. Laurie Metcalf for Getting On. And Constance Wu, Fresh Off the Boat. And the Gold Derby TV Award goes to... I'm trying to make it dramatic, but it's not dramatic. It's Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Come on, you all knew that. Come on.
Well, I mean, it is a little more dramatic for us. This is only her second win in this category from us. Our Julia Louis-Dreyfus was Amy Poehler. She won this 4 times for Parks and Recreation, including last year. So Julia Louis-Dreyfus hasn't been as inevitable with us as she has been at the Emmys.
But she was, just in terms of numbers, I'm trying to add here quickly. I think if you combine the other 5, they might just be over her number.
Wow. I think it was a little closer on my ballots, maybe just a little. I can't remember the number I came up with.
It was like that in the nominations phase too, when people were nominating or voting for the nominations. She had so much vote. I remember I emailed you guys and I said, she's winning this Emmy. If even our people who don't really like repeat winners, if even they're giving it to Julia, there's no question in my mind.
Yeah, I don't see how she loses. One of my theories is always, if somebody's going to take down a front runner or if a category is going to have an upset, it's usually because there's like one person that's everything's accumulating behind them. And at the Emmys especially, I just look at the people she's up against and just go, where I could see a faction going here and here and here and here, but I can't see that one person who would upset her. Whereas on comedy actor, which we're about to talk about, I can see a person that could take down last year's winner there.
So those nominees for us are Anthony Anderson for Blackish, Aziz Ansari for Master of None, Will Forte, Last Man on Earth, Thomas Middleditch for Silicon Valley, Jim Parsons for The Big Bang Theory, and Jeffrey Tambor for Transparent. And the Gold Derby TV Award goes to Jeffrey Tambor.
Did he win that last year as well?
Yep, second straight win for Jeffrey Tambor. I'm just gonna check his. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, I thought we'd given him to him for Arrested Development as well, but no, that's just his second overall a Gold Derby TV Award as well.
Individual, because I think he's in a couple of ensemble wins, right?
Yeah.
Okay. On our voting, and this may be influencing me a little bit, but Anthony Anderson was far closer to Jeffrey Tambor than I thought he would be. I mean, just not a razor thin, but very close. And I think that's the kind of guy and the kind of personality that they might, when the show getting into comedy series, I just wonder if the voters might rally around him for a lot of number 1 votes.
And if people are watching the episodes, he submitted a standout. That's really going to look like none of the others. It's Hope, of course. We of course have despaired a lot over whether the episodes matter anymore. But anyone watching those episodes, that's going to be helpful to Anthony Anderson.
Well, if they're just looking for an alternative away from somebody that is not in a comedy and is not the lead, then that might be the way they go. I don't see the other people winning, So that might be just the opposite of what I said about actress, where it splits off into lots of good options. I think Anthony Anderson's, the kind of Emmy option that that really might could take it. And the show's on ABC this year, and he's been all over television and other stuff too. So I think he's just a likable guy. I think people would enjoy marking him number one. I'm really close to moving him into first, but I haven't so far.
And in the forums, people like to say that Transparent is not a comedy, it's a drama. Jeffrey Tambor has just won our comedy award 2 years in a row, so I don't ever want to see that again in our forums because you guys voted for him.
That's right.
I'm scolding you.
Okay, next up we've got the final two categories for comedies, starting with Best Comedy Episode. The nominees are The Big Bang Theory, The Opening Night Excitation, Blackish for Hope, Girls for The Panic in Central Park, Transparent for Man on the Land, Veep for Kissing Your Sister, and Veep again for Mother. And this kind of felt like a foregone conclusion to me. The winner is Veep, Mother.
Which completely shoots down your Game of Thrones episode theory from earlier.
Not necessarily, because this was a case where if there was a clear choice, we were talking about, then that would probably win. Between Mother and Kissing Your Sister, just from everything, all the buzz from the show this season, it was, I don't know exactly how many votes Kissing Your Sister got, but it wasn't going to be as close as, say, Battle of the Bastards versus Winds of Winter. This was always going to be Mother, I think.
It was way out front, but the four right behind are all close together. So yeah, I think that's where people, when they just say vote splitting in any magazine article I read or online or any kind of slugfest or whatever, I always wince a little bit because it is a difference. There is a difference, and these two episode categories for us point that out. Of is there a strong consideration that one of these people or one of these episodes or one of these movies or whatever it is better than the other? And if there is, I don't think there is a possibility of vote splitting.
That's the Soderbergh factor.
Right. So that's when you've got to look at a category and you're saying, well, these two, well, like even I mentioned, Tony Hale and Matt Walsh being in the same category. I don't think many people are predicting Matt Walsh. If somebody from Veep wins supporting actor in 10 days, it's because Tony Hale won. I mean, that's a clear example of somebody has certainly got more support right now than the other. So it just comes. I think it comes down more to a category where you go, well, I don't know which one I would choose from these three people from this show or whatever. Then I think it causes more trouble.
And I think we have that in a couple of categories. I think like the Game of Thrones ladies for drama supporting actress, none of them have won before, so it's hard for us to gauge exactly which one of them really does have the most support. I think most of us are assuming Lena Headey, but of course she hasn't won yet, so we don't know how much support she's generally had in years past in terms of how her.
And people that just wanted to hear a ceremony and let us not talk about the Emmys, I'm not really sorry because we're not going to have probably a slugfest of the three of us. So this is our chance to talk about some of these. But I think that goes back to when we were all just saying we've got Kit Harington. He was a big factor of this season. Viral, all of that stuff. Yeah, but if there's going to be vote splitting, he's up against the two-time champ from his show in that category. So that could be a serious case of vote splitting. And if that happens, somebody like Overdue might have, certainly probably should have won last year. Jonathan Banks might slip through the cracks.
Yeah, I don't know what to do in that category.
Kit Harington is not your typical type of winner in that category. Personally.
He will get votes, which will hurt Peter Dinklage, I guess, because those people would have voted.
But Peter's going to just get some automatic votes just because it seems like people like him.
He got last year.
I mean, it's the same, but certainly he's the kind of guy, though, that might have really benefited from the older system of who was going to mark Peter Dinklage lower than like 2 or 3.
Okay, so is it Daniel's next? I lost.
Yeah, comedy series. I'm taking us way off track.
We are so sorry we have made you wait for Best Comedy Series at the Gold Derby Awards. The nominees are Blackish, Broad City, Master of None, Transparent, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Veep, and You're the Worst. And the winner is Veep. Not really a surprise there either, although only it's its first victory in this category.
What?
Yeah, this is Parks and Recreation won last year and in 2013. It was Community in 2012, Orange is the New Black in 2014. So yeah, it's this is its first victory.
Well, it's a massive victory. I was just adding up. You add up the other 6, and they just go over what Veep got.
Wow.
So it was pretty lopsided. Well, we've got 3 more categories. These are ones that we do not have at the Emmys. So one of them I get to present is maybe my favorite thing we do all year, and that's Breakthrough Performer of the Year, because you always, all of you voters, come up with some of the most outstanding groups of people. You really think about it and think about people that broke through during the past year on television. And these 6 are great ones. You've got Rachel Bloom, Sterling K. Brown, Connor Jessup, Robbie Malik, Joey Polari, and Bokeem Woodbine. And our Breakthrough Performer of the Year, not shocking since he won Drama Actor of the Year as well, and that's Robbie Malik. He's got a really strong lead, but I was looking at it thinking, Rachel Bloom is the lead on her show, but not nearly as many watch it. And everybody else in the category is supporting. It's pretty rare that we have a really, really strong person available for a Breakthrough Performer of the Year that's also a lead Performer of the Year. So I think that's a really good award for him to win. And he loves Gold Derby as well, so I'm sure he'll be excited about that.
And this is another one of those interesting gender kind of lopsided categories where women tend to win this category. The last man to actually win this category before Rami Malek was actually John Hamm in 2008.
Oh, and let's say another lead that broke through that season. So that's been a long time ago.
So Rami Malek wins 2 tonight, which is the same number that Fargo won, which is that's crazy. He's one guy. Okay, so Performer of the Year. This is where you could have been in an SNL guest spot and a comedy series and a drama series and a movie. Just all of your performances put together. Some people are only in one, but they were so good in their one thing that people nominated them for Performer of the Year. So
I like to say quantity and quality.
Yes, the 6 nominees are Kirsten Dunst, Regina King, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Rami Malek, John Oliver, and Sarah Paulson. I love that you gave me this one. The Gold Derby TV Award for Performer of the Year is Sarah Paulson.
If you add up everybody against Sarah Paulson, they still don't come close. This was the single biggest runaway win of all the categories.
And it's actually her first win in this category, even though she's won other Gold Derby awards before this. Last year's winner was actually Amy Schumer. Before that, Bryan Cranston won twice in a row. Amy Poehler. This has been sort of all over the place. Drama, comedies, lots of projects. One project. It's nice to see that much difference over the years.
I told her when I saw her at a performer reception 3 or 4 weeks ago, I said, I don't remember if this was on if you might want to look it up on our YouTube account. I think it's in there. But I just said, no, maybe it was after we stopped recording. I said, do you realize, and I haven't been doing interviews all that many years, maybe 5 years, 2011. I said, do you realize when I first interviewed you, I still remember, I always look up the person's awards history. The only thing you had ever had, anywhere, was a Golden Globe nomination for Studio 60. And look at you now. And it's miraculous what she's been able to do in 5 years.
Right. And I was telling Chris today that she'll probably get another 2 Emmy noms next year because she's in Feud and she's in American Horror Story. So watch out.
Which brings us to our final category of the night, Ensemble of the Year. This category awards ensemble casts from everything, whether you're a movie, a miniseries, a drama, a comedy, a variety series like SNL, which isn't nominated this year but is eligible. So basically all ensembles on television, which makes it infinitely more competitive than probably any other category, save Performer of the Year. The nominees are Fargo, Game of Thrones, The Leftovers, Orange is the New Black, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, and Veep. And the Gold Derby Award for Ensemble of the Year is The People vs. O.J. Simpson, which is a clean sweep for The People vs. O.J. Simpson.
Well, not exactly clean, since they had to tie with Fargo on miniseries, but they did defeat Fargo here, and but it was close. That was the two frontrunners of People. I wouldn't say it was razor thin, but it was not a big margin to get to Fargo after that, and that also means those two defeated your drama of the year, Game of Thrones, and your comedy of the year, Veep. So I think people really love this anthology format. That's what I gather out of, especially when it's well done like these two.
Right, and American Crime too. That should have been a nominee. Just those three limited series were better than a lot of what's been, you know, a 6-year-old show that we're maybe getting bored of. That's one of the great things about these limited series is they have a beginning, a middle, and end, and it's great.
And this is actually the first win in this category for a miniseries or anthology type show. This has always been comedy or drama in years past. Game of Thrones actually won it twice in 2013 and 2015. So yeah, this is the first miniseries to win this award.
Wow.
Well, thanks to everybody for voting. It was so much fun to do it by hand this year, but it's so much work. We can't wait till it gets back to the automated system as well.
Yeah, let me just
hopefully that'll happen for films over in January.
And let me just mention some of the totals. You know, People vs. O.J. Simpson is the top winner with 5 awards. Veep won 4. Game of Thrones won 3. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt won 3. Mr. Robot won 2. Fargo won 2. Let me see if there are any multiples I'm forgetting. House of Cards won 2. So yeah, it's a nice spreading of the wealth. Last year, Game of Thrones won 6. It won basically everything. So this year, that sort of happened with People versus O.J. Simpson, but not quite as dramatic a sweep. But yeah, I like to see the wealth spread nicely.
I do too, and I hope that happens over the next couple of weeks. I'm not one that likes domination as much as I do, you know, spreading the wealth. You know, everybody, a lot of good shows, a lot of good performers. Let's not you know, overwhelm one particular show with too many awards, but I know some people like sweeps. Well, thanks to everybody. I know Daniel's going to close this out, but I do want to say we've got tons of Emmy coverage over the next couple of weeks. This weekend, we were just planning that out. We will be at Marcus and I'll be at both Emmy Creative Arts ceremonies. We are really your first and only place to find out the winners. I mean, the moment that they happen, Marcus will be on Twitter. I'll be in our threads, you know, typing in the winners for every single creative arts category, not just the bigger ones or more well-known ones. And Matt Noble and a lot of our contributors will be online on a video. They'll be discussing the winners as they happen, who they're predicting, talking a little bit about the next week, and then the following week we'll have our typical coverage, 2-hour pre-show before the Emmys, and then a post-show afterwards. And we'll try to get lots of red carpet interviews on all 3 ceremonies and really just cover it, hopefully, in the right kind of way. So
with that, we will, most if not all of us, will see you very soon this weekend. And fingers crossed for all of our Emmy predictions. May the Emmy gods have mercy on our poor predicting souls. So have a good night, and thank you for watching.